Hey, been a long time, huh? Yeah. Just want to talk to y'all for a little while. Yep. Man, bring y'all up to speed. What's been going on? No, I'm not out of the advocacy business. No, I hadn't been on hiatus. I just been fighting a whole different way. Just been so many things going on, in Mississippi, all over the world, everywhere. You know what I mean? Just preparing. So I'm just want to share some of my time with some of you people, man. I just want to ensure you guys that I'm still in the fight for advocating people. So just kind of want to bring everybody up to speed. This is coming up close to my second Christmas home. Doesn't seem like it. I lost 23 to the system inside. Sometimes we forget uh, the struggle that we went through to bring us here today, to the situation of where we are today. Whether it's a good or bad situation. I was just thinking about how, sometimes we forget the things that the muck and the mire that God brought us through in order to strengthen us. It's like an athlete working out. Sometimes we have to go through all of our all the different things. What's up, cuz? How you doing? We have to go through all our trials and tribulation to strengthen us for what's to come, to the things that God is going to bring us through, to the things that God is going to bless us with. But in the meantime, we have to appreciate all that we have came through. So even though my 23 years was a hard time for me in some ways, with the people that I lost, losing my aunts, losing my mom, losing a son before I came home, losing two brothers and two sisters before I came home, it still, uh, was a transition for me to get here. Me losing 23 Christmas, man, 23 years of incarceration. A lot of people succumb to that pressure within, within their own selves, within the black community and everything. So, today I'm just going to just recap some of the things that I've been through in the last few months. I know I hadn't been on here in a minute, in quite a minute. So, but I was working on my wedding, so I'm happily married. And Miss Jessica Clifton and I, we'll be sharing pictures. A lot of people share a lot of pictures. We wanted them to enjoy sharing on social media the way they wanted to, but we'll be making our posts for our family. We've just been so busy enjoying each other and enjoying life and just trying to enjoy every day that God has blessed us. The times that we came and went through to get to where we are now, through, somebody sticking by your side during incarceration. I don't know how many people, hey, baby, I don't know how many people that who are going to be watching, who's going to see this, that have loved ones who are incarcerated. I just think it's important that during this time of year, because this is a hard time of year, and me going back into the prison system, which is, partially, I think that just seeing how guys are down during this time of year is, it's kind of hard. It's a hard time for people to really deal with. People that are on the inside deal with it and see people. Hey, baby, to see people deal with it on the outside and the inside. So I get a chance to work visitation. I kind of see the interaction between people. So the holidays were a tough time for me while I was inside. It was a tough time because you think about all that you could do for your family, all that you wanted to do for your family, all that you couldn't do with your family, all that you couldn't do for your family. What's up, chap? And so I just think the holiday times of the year for somebody who's experiencing incarceration, whether you are incarcerated or whether you have a loved one that's incarcerated, whether it's a child, a son, a cousin, a relative, or just a good friend who's incarcerated. I think that it's important that we do a little bit more to ensure them that you are there for them, or some type of way reach out to them um, to let them know, that they're still loved during their incarceration, man. So it was so many times, man, during my absence from society, it was uh, it was my loved ones, my sisters, my brothers, my son, all my siblings and everybody, my my wife now, who was, kept me strong, especially the last few years and everything. And so I just think that it's imperative, man, that we think about that. We can't hide the fact that we were gone for such a long time. We have to embrace that and know that that was a time in a transition that God brought us through for us to be able to tell our story, for us to be able to be a light uh, for somebody else to have hope. To just, I look at my chaplain who's on too. He spent a number of years on the inside. And I think that it was important for his transition. It made him who the man who he is today. You know what I mean? And so many of us, Chaplain Watts, Chaplain King, Chaplain Deloach, Chaplain Brown. Chaplain Baker, Eugene Baker. And so I want everybody to kind of pray for him. I know y'all don't know him, but just kind of pray for him. He had surgery today, so I'm just hoping that everything is going good with him and everything goes good with him, throughout his surgery. So it's so many times, man, that we make it through, and I know so many guys that have made it on this side and succumbed to so many things uh, out here in life. The food is completely different. It's a whole different lifestyle. It's a whole nother set of a whole avenue and a whole other set of things that we have to go through on this side, So, but it's been an amazing journey, man. The last 2 years, like I said, sometimes I wonder, uh, like how, well, like what's the measuring stick? There's really no measuring stick. I don't get up looking for, hey, cuz, how you doing? I don't get up looking for anything and measure my life against anybody else. I try to get into the will of God, know that there are things that I want to do, things that I thought about doing while I was inside that I want to accomplish while I'm outside. And that's one thing, like going back into my community and helping the people that are, that are still struggling, that are still, in stuck, stuck in how can I say it, a time span. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely. Okay, that's good. All right, so I'm gonna call them and try to check on them. And so I just think that uh, we have so many issues going on in the black community, man, to where our community is succumbing to big business. Our community is they're not together anymore. It used to be in a day and a time when I look back at history and like, or during my time, the early '60s and the early '70s, how black folks came together during this time of year to ensure everybody had something for Christmas. It wasn't much, but it was just so much that we had. We had the love of family, and the love of family, man, made our Christmas so joyous that we couldn't, man, that we didn't want for anything. We wasn't thinking about the new thing. Hey, Lynn, how you doing? We weren't thinking about all the things that other people had. We were so happy and wrapped up in our own family and the love that our own families, people coming from up north down here to spend Christmas with us and to spend Christmas with us, and we had the fellowship. And I kind of re-experienced that in my wedding when I had all my nieces, my siblings, and cousins and stuff that came to participate in my wedding, man. It was just two families, two loving families merging in the love that was there for us, and the love that was shown to us, man, by so many people, man. On my wife's side and on my side of the family, how they came together and came out and showed us true and tremendous love. And man, it was so beautiful. And it's just still, like I say, I'm still high from that. It's one of the biggest things, man, biggest thing that you can give any family member is give him the love of you. It's not necessarily a particular physical gift that you can give to somebody or anything, but you giving them that support and everything. Hey, what's up, man? What's up, hot dog? That's another beautiful brother, man, that I was incarcerated with. He's doing good. We call him hot dog, but he's Sean. So it's just so imperative, man, that we get back to sharing time with our family. Time is so precious, man, and that in an instant, man, somebody could be gone just like that. This would be my first Christmas without my son Nate, and I haven't even thought about it because I don't even, I try not to look at it like that. I know that I tell everybody, man, people have their own specific time in life that they have to leave us, and we have to make peace with that, but we still have to remember the love and joy that they brought us while they were here on this earth. So I just think that, man. During these last 22 months, that I've been home, man, it's been everything has been flowing and moving so fast. It's just amazing the things that God has brought me through and has brought me to. You know what I mean? He's brought me to being a better person. You know, a better uncle. A better brother, a better sibling, a better husband. A better friend. I hope, and so I want to be a better listener. So I just want to be able to embrace everything, man, and take that and just enjoy all that He has for me, and to kind of keep my mind in line with the will of God. So many times we look at what we didn't get or what we get. A quote. I read a quote the other day. It says that when we don't get what we want, it's God's protection. And when we get what is want, it's God's blessing. Sometimes, man, some of the things that we want, you know, some of the things that we want, God sees that that's going to be a problem for us in the future. So He protects us in His own way, long before we can ever even get to it. You know what I mean? So we're so worried about what somebody else got. It's just not our time to have those things. We just have to keep pressing forward. In our own daily activities, man, give back to our people. We're so selfish in the sense that we want everything for ourselves, and we don't want to share that love and give it back to anybody. What's up, brother? I see spoils on here, man. It's so beautiful, man, to see guys get out and do good. And it's so beautiful to come home and see people like my cousin, Eltharine. She's everywhere helping everybody at all the time. It's beautiful, man. I kind of watched her before I even came home. I watched her since I've been home, and she's just been consistent. So we have to be consistent in the things that we do, especially when we're doing them in the name of God, and in line with the will of God, and just for other people, and not expecting anything in return. But God giving us everything that we need long before we even think about it, long before we even know we need it. God is giving that to us, and that's the thing that He's done. I was blessed, man, to be able to. You have to be mindful and be careful of everything that you do, um, because somebody is always watching you. I remember when I first got home the first June, man, she was pushing for my cousin Eltharine. She was pushing for the parade and everything for the Juneteenth parade. So we had to go to Shell, and I was wondering why we going to Shell to come back. But then me not thinking that they joined the two high schools, so we're going to Shell and coming back to Mount Bayou to celebrate. It's just small things like that to where people going out and recruiting people, and we're making banners and signs and going on the side of cars. I had been gone so long, I didn't even know that these things were going on. So I want to be a part of that from now on, cuz, and I just want to be. Uh, Active in the community. I went to Washington D.C. December 8th, December 7th and 8th. To receive an award, and I was allowed to be there to even be considered to be a part of criminal justice reform. There's so many things, man. That there's so many of us, people that look like me and look like our people. Like African Americans who are incarcerated, not just in Mississippi, but all over the United States. So this was a gathering of people from all over the United States talking about prison reform. And for me to be invited and for me to be able to receive an award, it means that I'm headed down, even though I feel like I haven't made the necessary steps to do all that I need to do during this time, so that's me putting pressure on myself. But so it could be God slowing me down for me to enjoy my time here, in a sense to enjoy my family also. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful for that, man. I'm grateful that, I was, when the people called me, they were saying, I said, oh my Lord, man, I'm getting married December 4th. We're supposed to go straight on my honeymoon. And I was talking to my baby, and then she was, I said, baby, they called me from Washington. I got invited, but I didn't know I was getting an award. They wanted me to come and speak on criminal justice reform. And so, because that's a big passion of mine. On now, it's become an even bigger passion on the state level because, like I said, I go in every day and I see people struggling for their lives, like literally struggling for their lives to get through from one day to the next. So, for me to be able to offer up some of the things that helped me survive during my 23 years of incarceration, um, Even if it's just telling the guy, man, just sit back, take a deep breath, read a book. I don't have to always force the word upon him. I can become the living word. You know what I mean? And I can become the living word, so I can just they can see me as an example of what they can become. Not that my life is so perfect, but just how I've overcome. Man, I know a lot of people that were that are incarcerated now, that were incarcerated with me, that didn't survive. They either lost their mind, because it's a mental strain. You suffer from PTSD. They got out and they didn't want to take the long route, the legal route to get back on their feet, and they wanted to take the shortcut, the same thing that got them there in the first place, to get back on their feet, and they succumb to the streets. You know what I mean? They succumb to the streets again, and they're back in prison. You know what I mean? Right here in Mississippi, man, guys that I was in the feds with, I've seen them. They're locked up in the state now because they tried to take a shortcut when they got back out, man. There's no such thing as a shortcut, man. There's no such thing. And I see so many teenagers now who are waiting to enter the juvenile justice system. I'm talking about like 15, 13, 14, and 15 right now that are waiting to turn 18 so they can release them into the criminal justice system. You know what I mean? And I really think about, man, that really breaks my heart because thanks, Lynn. I really think about how um, either one of my kids could have got lost in the system. Either one of my nephews could have got lost in the system. And I thank God that I was able to talk to them and hey, Nish, how you doing? I thank God that I was able to talk to them from prison, whether it was by a phone call or whether it was me writing them or me really encouraging them because of the respect that they had for me before I went to prison, that they listened to me. You know what I mean? I think Tim is doing an awesome job. My nephew Ben, everybody, man, everybody's doing good. So, but there are so many kids who don't have a role model to look up to, and so now we have that mentality in society where if they're not my kids or they're not my family, I'm not going to give them a word of encouragement, and so we're losing these kids to the criminal justice system. Man, I'm talking about when I tell you, man, tell them, D. You know how many youngsters, man, this guy that just came on, D West, do you know how many people that we talk to every day inside, you know what I mean? Even though we came from different paths, he's from Louisiana, I'm from Mississippi, but we had so much positive energy to where we talked about and we put together platforms inside to help guys think about surviving when they got outside. And so I just think that that's some of the things we need to have. My biggest thing that I want to accomplish before January is over to have a lock in Bolivar County somewhere, because there's no way that thanks, chap, man. And I thank you for guiding me, man, through so many of my trials and troubles, and always being, you know, age don't make you smarter than anybody. Circumstances don't make you better than anybody. But the thing is, when you can look at a man and look at his life and live by example and accept constructive criticism from them, you have to be man enough to listen to them because they have been through some things that, man, even though, you know, my brother, Ronald Olivier, he's been through, I'm older than him, but he's been through just as much as me. Because, him going through Angola, him going through the Bible college, he's able to teach me on a daily basis. So I can be that sponge and listen and squeeze it back out. Man, D, even though I did more time than him, he had been through some situations in his journey in prison where we were able to come together and help each other in our struggle and to get to the next level and to be a role model, man. We got guys who didn't really even mess with each other or even speak with each other. Sit down, we can have them sit down at the table and we ate together, man, for Juneteenth. We put together a Juneteenth program in my 1 year that I was at the camp in Forest City, man. It was a brother from Louisiana. All of us got it. We organized everything. We put together a Juneteenth and shared with them. There's so many people that were in prison that didn't know anything about Juneteenth, to where now he's from Louisiana, I'm from Mississippi, but you had guys from Texas They had heard about it, but didn't know the real meaning or significance of that. So for us to be able to teach them and maybe change some of their mind, and you're right, maybe change their mind about how they were doing that time or how they were doing. It was just it's amazing, man. And so it's that's some of the same thing that we have to bring to these streets out here every day. You know what I mean? That's some of the same things that we got to do right here, man. Wherever we are, wherever we find ourselves, man, we got to be able to, like my chaplain said, to be interdependent on each other, to be interdependent on God. You know what I mean? Because there's no gray area. Yeah, for sure, D, for sure. You know what I mean? I'm doing a big summit here sometime this summer, but I got some things that I want to do inside to change and break the criminal thinking of some of the guys who are here incarcerated at Parchment. So I've been working on some of them, and then people have been in power and position so long that they're not used to the change. They're not ready for the change. They don't embrace the change, so they're they're unconsciously standing in the way of change because they've been so used to everything being done a certain way for so long. They don't see it as wrong. They just seeing it as doing the same thing. Man, we took a class. We took a class last week. I was in a class, man. It was American Correctional Association class, and it just talked about behavioral health and mental health in prison. Man, do you know how many people suffer from PTSD? I guarantee you, man, it's some situations in prison that are way worse than some of the situations that people have survived through any war on the outside. And I just think that people don't take that serious. People walk by once we come home and people hear that we've been incarcerated. The first thing they do, they put up this wall around them and think that everybody that's been incarcerated is a bad person, unless we're our own immediate family. Our own immediate family, bless, they know us and they embrace us because they know our heart. But outside of our immediate family, until we come home and prove to them that we have no ulterior motives other than to help them, other than to be a better man, other than to be a productive citizen, in society, that then they don't really trust it. They like, oh man, he been to prison, he been for this long, he done did this. What did he do? The only thing they hear prison, it's not whether it's nonviolent or not. And they've trained society, they've turned us. Man, let me tell you something. And I'm gonna tell y'all this, man. I want y'all to listen to this real good. They've turned our own people, black people, and I'm speaking to my people right now. You know what I mean? They've turned us so upside down to where the minute we come out of prison, we have that thing to where we want to keep us away from doing right or helping, no matter how good you can do, how good you are at doing your job, no matter how good you are at teaching the word. I don't want to embrace you because you got that stigma of incarceration on you, but not knowing that my incarceration can help me better serve the incarcerated community here. Chaplain Olivier, Chaplain Watts, Chaplain Baker, Chaplain King, their incarceration can better serve MDOC. I remember watching MDOC on the TV for this thing that it had in December 2019 when all the killing was going on. Man, the only thing they thought about was everything that was going on in Mississippi, when it was just maybe 10% of the people that were really acting out, causing all the havoc, but it was so much havoc that they had the whole world watching us. But now coming in and going back inside, man, it's a terrible situation in the sense that there's nothing that's preparing any of our young men and women who are getting ready to get out of prison to become productive citizens of society. It's not like the feds where they have so many reentry programs and that teach you skills and stuff for when guys come out. We don't really have that, and we have a few, but then they're handpicking the people that they want to put them through. They're giving our brothers and sisters in Mississippi so much time to where they've succumbed to being incarcerated. They've abandoned all sense of freedom. When I say abandon all sense of freedom, they don't even want to fight for freedom. They've succumbed to the animalistic nature of this beast right here in Mississippi. You know what I mean? It's like they've came in and they became the fabric of injustice who's abandoning freedom. It's sort of like a prime example would be when Harriet Tubman went back to get her husband. He was so he was so ingrained in slavery that he didn't want to leave because he was so comfortable being a slave. And she telling him, man, it's so much better over here at freedom. But they don't want to risk anything for freedom. They don't want to fight for freedom. They don't want to sit down and fight their cases. They don't want to get families involved. And the families on the outside has pretty much abandoned them because they came inside of prison. So their families that once they get sentenced in the criminal justice system here in Mississippi, you know what I mean? Man, that's what we're working on right now. The family once they get caught up in the system, the criminal justice system in Mississippi, man, they get off the ship. They know that ship is going down. They know that, that's what they think, not knowing that there are men and women that have the mental capacity, the skills and knowledge to become, man, pastors, doctors, house builders, truck drivers. You know what I'm saying? And but they don't have a reentry mentality. It's the old way. Everybody is stuck in the old way. So when new people come in and change it, we're frowned upon because it's like we're trying to man. I'm just trying to save my people. If I can save one young man, and make him come out and be and help him, not make him, help him, teach him to come out and be a better and productive citizen in society, man, man, do you know what that would mean to me if I could take one guy that had a life sentence that would fight and he can fight because, it's, there's no question. I'm living proof that the criminal justice system here in Mississippi is corrupt. You know what I mean? I went to prison for aiding and abetting the sale of 6.4 grams of cocaine. If anybody don't know what that is, then you can just hold a quarter up in your hand. That's the size of a quarter ounce of cocaine. That's why it's called a quarter. The same size as a quarter. They gave me 33 years and 4 months as a first time offender. As a first time offender. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. We're not going to even look at what I went to prison for. Let's look at me not even being in the state of Mississippi when this so-called transaction happened to put me in prison. Yet and still, they forged paperwork to run me through the system. Do you know how many people who are over there right now like that? Where prosecutors here, let's just say Victor Hearns from Cleveland, Mississippi. Man, you got a prosecutor like Raymond Wong and all them right here in Bolivar County. I'm just gonna speak about my area that have forged paperwork and documents to put him in prison. You know what I'm saying? To put him in prison, and he got a life sentence because they wanted to. You know how many people that are in prison because prosecutors in Tupelo and all the people built political powerhouses on locking these men up and giving them a life sentence. I was discussing with a kid today about he had 60 years. He had 60 years for a so-called armed robbery that no weapon was ever found. But he was standing beside somebody of another race that had manslaughter. They had killed somebody, and he only got 20 years. He only got 20 years in prison. Yet he was getting it's 30 for 30. Every day that he worked, he get 30 days good time. So in essence, he only had to do 10 years on the 20 years. So now we're talking about him being in prison for manslaughter where he killed somebody. He got 20 years, but you talking about an 18-year-old. Man, if they only knew they were slaves. If they only knew they were, so we have people in power who don't even know that they're slaves. You know what I'm saying? They're slaves to the old way, so-called, to where on the premises that Angola, Parson, and all these prisons all over the United States were founded upon. It was founded upon the 13th Amendment. You know what I mean? To where slavery nor involuntary servitude should shall not exist except for a crime of punishment. You know what I mean? So once they start criminalizing our activities, then they can make us slaves again. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's just that it says that once we commit a crime, and then they start making up crimes for us to be incarcerated, like vagrancy, or and giving you 13 months on the county farm. Man, I'm just telling you the scales of justice. When they say Lady Justice is blind, and she wears a blindfold, man, the justice system for black and white is different. The justice system for people that have and the have-nots is completely different, man. If you look at some of the laws, man, if you go through and look at some of the laws, you got people who made parole, but they're telling them that an old law, which is Keys versus State, an old law that he's made parole to is keeping them from getting out on parole. You got so many guys waiting to go home right now today. But what they do is they say is that okay, they need a psych evaluation before they get out. All right. So if you know that he needs a psych evaluation, why aren't you scheduling these people who are eligible for parole? So what they do, they give them a year set off. You got people that's been over here, man, 40, 45, 53 years. Right here, right here in the Mississippi Delta, that's been in prison for 50 plus years. You know what I'm saying? And for man, as a first time offender, for what now, Mississippi didn't have different variations of murder until what 2014. It just had one thing, one from 1995 to 2014 when they passed the law, the tough on crime law in 1995, to where they gave mandatory time for murder. But before then, they had parole. So, but all the guys who were stuck between, it's the same time they made the 1994 crime bill. Mississippi and all the other countries came out with their draconian laws, like uh, Michigan, Illinois, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, from 1994, right after the 1994 crime bill, when America was so-called getting tough on crime, which it was essentially making prison a big business, where they were making all the crimes harsher, so to speak, so they can give us more time, give African Americans more time. Anyway, 1995, they come out and said the same thing with the marijuana. You get more time in Mississippi for marijuana than you do cocaine. I don't know if anybody knew that or anybody from Mississippi knew that. But long story short, you got a law in 1995 that says uh, all murder is mandatory time. You don't get good time days for it. But you come back out in 2014, you pass a law and says now we're going to take the murders and divide them into hum, uh, second degree murder, first degree murder, and I can't think of the other one right now. But long story short, you got three different degrees of murder, and some of those are eligible to make parole. But you locked up so many people between 1995 and 2014, but you don't make the law retroactive. That's how the courts get you. You don't make the law retroactive. You know what I mean? Man, like me, give me 20 years, man, for $2,500. I got 20 years and finished that time. On my way in 2017, I flat time that 20 years for $2,500 that I never had. You know what I mean? So they gave me 20 years for money laundering of $2,500. My money that I sent somebody for a funeral. Had the receipts for the funeral and everything. Had the receipts, everything, all the receipts matched up for the funeral and everything. But they charged me. They gave me 20 years for money laundering because I Western Union $2,500. That's what they don't tell people in school today. There's nobody out here educating our young black men and women about the different tricks and stuff that they have. It says that if you and two other gang members are hanging together at the same time, and one of them has drugs and the other one has a gun, the one with the gun is going to get charged with protecting his homeboy's drug, and the one with the drug is going to get caught up in a conspiracy with those guys, conspiracy with possession with intent. And so all of them are going to be facing 20 years to life. And two of them that's standing there, even though they're fellow gang members, might not even know that one of them had drugs, might not even know the other one had guns. But what they're going to do, they're going to put them in a net and take them all and send them to court at the same time and going to give them a whole bunch of time. You know, there are a lot of stories like that, man. And some of the people that I was in Washington with who had been freed after 25 years, one guy that was there, Mr. Underwood. Mr. Underwood had been in prison 31 years. 31 years. You know, and he finally got compassion relief 6 months ago. He had only been out 6 months, so it was a blessing to meet him. You know, we've crossed paths so many times in the system. It just shows you how small the system was. So many of us that were there, had, we're all in the same work. You know, ladies like Topeka Sam, who was in federal prison, uh, Miss Williams, Ruby Carter Wells. So all Matthew Charles, these all he was the very first one to get the First Step Act. But it's just so much injustice that goes on around us, man. And like I said, man, even though, I don't want to get too far off track, my whole message is that during this holiday season, man, if you have somebody that's incarcerated, if you know somebody incarcerated, send them a card, man, send them a letter. You know what I mean? Send them a Christmas package if they're in Mississippi. Just reach out to them and let them know that they have hope and that they have somebody who's praying for them, who's on the outside. So we got to take time to do that, man. We got to be the the thread of fabric, man, or the cord of rope to where we have to wrap around each other, man, and show love to each other. Ain't that right, nephew? You know what I mean? So my nephew did his 10 years, his 8.5, man, and got out. And he's doing good. You know what I mean? Shouldn't have never went to prison in the first place. So it's just amazing though how God can restore you, man. And you know, like my pastor said today, so many people live for that I moment where the scripture said that's their glory. That's their glory because they want it's all about me, me, me. You know what I mean? Not about the people that help him get things done or were instrumental in changing the culture or anything. It's always one person that wants to take credit for everything. It was I that did it. It was me, me, me. The whole me, me, me attitude. And so, man, I just encourage each and every one of you guys, man, to stay focused, stay safe. The virus is still real. If you don't know, I gotta say that, man. And going in and out because I've lost uh, a nephew, a best friend like my brother Robert to COVID, and I lost a son to COVID. This past year. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's real. And so I know a lot of people. If you don't know anybody right now that has passed away from COVID, man, then I don't know what world you're living in. I think all of us here and all of us around know somebody that has died from COVID. So we definitely have to, yeah, man. And that's true, man. Even with that charge, man, I hate to even think about it, B. I can't even think about, how crooked that system was. And then not only that, man, it was 1994, so 1996. At my ninth year of incarceration, the first officer on my case, the lead agent on my case, go to prison. They contact me and Beaumont say, hey man, you might have a chance of getting out. The lead officer on your case went to jail for bribery and corruption. You know what I mean? Would you want to come down and testify? I'm like, no, why would I want to come down and testify on him? I told y'all this in the first place that he framed me. So why would you need me to come back and testify on him? This is what I told you. You know, right his wrong. Still hadn't heard anything. Still spent uh, another 15 years in prison because then another officer on my case, the second agent, went to prison on my case, and then one of the officers got charged and ended up committing suicide. David Sullivan on my case because he was corrupt. But it just shows you how in the Mississippi Delta they were framing cases and sending people to prison. So instead of the federal prosecutors wanting to overturn these cases, they're still letting these cases ride. You got Durham McWayne still in prison right now for crooked police officers. I'm not saying that he wasn't once a criminal, that he didn't do anything in the street that was wrong, but the charge that he's in prison on now, he didn't commit. That the police framed him, went in his house and planted evidence while he wasn't there, waited till he come home and arrest him for stuff that they had planted. And they know this, you know what I mean? And it just, it behooves me that the federal courts don't go back and overturn these cases. And you can present them with them, man. They're gonna fight you tooth and nail, day in and day out. Well, it was harmless error than any other person, even though the person pled guilty for being corrupt from 1994 to 2004. And my case happened in 96 and his happened in 98, but they still won't overturn his case. He pled guilty for being corrupt for the whole time that he was a police officer. But you don't go back and right these wrongs. So I just think it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous that we see the injustice that goes on around us, man. But it's the holiday season, man. You guys stay safe. Like I said, man, I thank my cousin Gloria, my niece Lynn Cobuston, for coming to my wedding, man, and sharing that family time, and all those people, man. It was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. I thank you guys for coming out, and loving on us, loving on me, and the way that y'all did, man. It was really, really beautiful. I really appreciate that. But we can't let uh, that be our the only time that we can come together. It was so beautiful to see so many people come together for something happy instead of a funeral or something like that, or something sad. So I just think that we need to take more time in planning and get together. Lynn, Cobus, man, still high chap, still floating, man. My feet ain't on the ground now, man. I don't know, So it's it was really beautiful. I thank you for coming too, chap, man, spending that day with me. What's up, Britton? That's another brother, man. One day I'm going to get with him and get him on this live so we can talk about some of the corruption in the state of Mississippi. I just think that that's imperative, man, that we let just see how so many of us that we need to get people to go to Jackson and go to Washington to change the legislation here in Mississippi, man, because it's just, I think the amount of time that they give people for what they call the habitual is ridiculous. There's no opportunity for a guy to uh, to rehabilitate himself. You give an 18-year-old a life sentence, a life without the possibility of parole. He's not thinking about rehabilitating himself. He's thinking about how he's going to survive this life sentence. You know, even if he's looking at the life and he's living day for day, he's not thinking about tomorrow. He gets up every morning and live for today. The only way that we can change the mindset of our incarcerated people is that we have to give them hope and an opportunity for freedom. You know what I mean? And I just think that, so many times society blames everything on corruption and gang activity. Well, gang activity. I just think that it's an illusion. It's an illusion, man, that we have to look behind the scenes to just see, what's really happening around us. But so many of us are clueless as to what's going on inside. We're outside looking in, or we're outside not even paying attention to what's inside. And we have to open our eyes up and look inside and see, see, one of my favorite Christmas songs, man, Alexander O'Neal. Yeah. But, this is a sensitive time of the year, man, for free people, incarcerated people, man. And I'm getting ready to celebrate my second Christmas home. And my gift was my wedding, man. My gift was the thing, was the beautiful love that God sent me from above, man. I really appreciate everybody who came out to share that with me. And so, thank you for tuning in, man. I would just wanted to vent a little bit, bring everybody up to speed, let you know that at the beginning of the year, man, I'm going to be wide open, full throttle on fighting mass incarceration and the injustice of our court system. You know what I'm saying? So help me out. We got a big thing that I'm going to do for Marcus Board and Durham McWayne. I call him Skibo and Marcus Board G Black. So I got some things that I'm gonna do for them and try to help them and so many other people, man. I'm going to be meeting with Van Jones and Dream Corps, which used to be Cut 50, and we're going to do some things here in Mississippi with Sinatra Freeman and so many other people here in the Mississippi area, in the Mississippi Delta. And so I just think that You got to get involved, man. If you're on the sideline and you don't know anything about, if it's just getting involved, man, and deterring the youth from making the mistakes that I made, that we made, that they're about to make it, man. Because if you look around, man, they're only killing people who look like them. You know what I mean? And so we're doing the jobs of our oppressor when we kill one another. They don't have to come out and oppress us anymore when we're oppressing ourselves every day. We can't even walk. We're in fear for our life going to the grocery store to even do Christmas shopping. You know what I'm saying? I love you too, man. You know what I mean? They go TT. Yeah. So yeah, I really thank you guys for coming, man. I really thank you guys for showing up on this live. I'll be back in business and doing more. But I just think that we got to stay prayed up. We got to stay in the will of God, keep our minds in the will of God, so that we can always do what is required of Him, what is required of the Scripture, by law. None of us are perfect, man. But if we get up, seeking to do the right thing, living and loving the the will of God, and moving towards that, I just think everything would be that we'll have a much better world. Even if you create a much better world for our family, for your own particular family, man, then other people will look and mimic that, and it will grow to be, um, it will grow to be beautiful, man. And so you guys take care, man. Have a Merry Christmas. You know what I mean? I'll be here probably for Christmas Day. I might go down to Cleveland and see the lights or go somewhere. But anyway, man, take care. Be safe, man. What's up, Mr. Brown? It's another brother, man. Assalamu alaikum, man. Yeah. Good to see you, man. Another brother I did time with up in Bennettsville, at Yazoo and Bennettsville. So, like I said, man, the federal system is small, man. We got a lot of work. Yeah. What's up, David? You all right? I know. Bennettsville, South Carolina. Definitely, brother. You know what I mean? I already know. You know what I mean? So it's good seeing you doing the things that you're doing outside, man. I was just telling the people, man, that we got to get more involved in criminal justice reform. On the Fed side, we got the Equal Act that we got to reach out and touch. So that we got to reach out and do. I'm going to be doing a big thing on that. So we got to get involved. But I've been on here for a minute, man. It's been real, man. Hit me up, man. Send me your number. DM me your number, man, so we can chop it up. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Lynn. Y'all take care, man. All y'all be safe during the holidays, man. Take care. God bless you. This Christmas, man, make sure that you have a good time, man. Yeah. Peace.